How have you been? First of all, have you been doing well? Have you been studying? Very good. So, I think we get right into the class, okay? Today, we are going to be learning about, Skitty, the Kitten Pokémon. Okay. Unfortunately, the Skitty that I was planning to show you today is not feeling very well. So, it is resting. I have brought, however, this beautiful picture of Skitty so that we can still go over its traits and everything about it. Okay? Here it is. Now, as you may know, Skitty is a normal type Pokemon. Skitty is a small and cat-like Pokemon with short little legs and a round and compact body. Its fur is very soft to the touch and also very pink with cream markings around its face and its little legs. As you can also see, it has very furry and pink ears with a purplish inside. Now let's move on to its tail, which I believe is one of its most, if not the most, distinctive feature. Skitty's tail is very large compared to the rest of its body and very fluffy, and also, like all of Skitty, very pink. The tail has three sort of pins, 1, 2, 3 little pins that come out of it, which have this sort of yellow ball on the top. 1, 2, 3 pins, 1, 2, 3 yellow balls. So, Skitty's tail contains highly sensitive nerves, and its tail tends to wiggle whenever Skitty is either excited or overstimulated. Skitty actually will also use this tail when it feels threatened. So, if Skitty feels threatened, it will puff out its tail and use it to try to appear larger and scare opponents away, as Skitty lets out a menacing growl. And I say menacing because Skitty's growls, at least to me, are not super menacing. So, Skitty will use its tail to try to appear larger, to appear bigger, and try to scare its opponents away. And it will also growl to kind of sound like a scarier Pokemon, someone who is bigger, someone who is like, oh, maybe I cannot take him on in the battle. However, Skitties are very, very non-confrontational Pokemon, very peaceful Pokemon. Skitties are actually fascinated with moving objects and will chase them around. In fact, they are known for getting distracted by their own tail as it moves, and they will begin to chase it around and around and around and around in circles to the point that they will get very dizzy from it. Yes, so as you can tell, they are very, very hyperactive Pokemon, constantly running around, getting distracted by things that are moving, things that are its own tail, it just keeps running around. Very hyperactive. Now, Skitties are also known to do very soft and very soothing purring noises when they are happy or relaxed, which researchers believe they help calm themselves out, as well as other Pokemon nearby. So they purr to try to relax themselves as well, so they're not always so hyperactive. Personally, I love some cat-like Pokemon purring, but I mean Skitties in general are very popular Pokemon, not just because of their, purring, but also because of their adorable looks, to the point, in fact, that their popularity and cuteness is mentioned in some Pokédex entries as one of the main things about Skitty, which is crazy to think about that. One of your main traits or things that you are, one of the first things that you are known for is how popular you are and how cute you are. Now, wild Skitties are found generally in forests with big open areas where they can run around non-stop, as they always do. And usually, in the wild, they tend to make their home in the holes of a tree. So, if there is a tree hole somewhere, there might be a Skitty inside, who knows. But Skitties generally do live with us humans as our partner Pokemon due to, as I mentioned before, their adorable and very approachable behavior. Now, I think we're going to look at Skitty's moves, okay? Starting with the move that I believe is the most sort of iconic for Skitty, which has to be Assist. Now, Assist is a move which was only initially unique to the Skitty line, so only Skitty and its evolution could learn it. But through the years, other cat-like Pokemon have been able to learn it too, like Glameow or Purloin, for example. What this move does, yes, so it is a very sort of cat-like move. So what this move does is that Skitty will use a random move that one of its allies knows. So, for example, if in your team you have a fire-type Pokemon that knows, for example, Flamethrower, Skitty might use Flamethrower when it uses Assist. But please note that the move it pulls is entirely random, so you never know what move it will use. It might be using your fire-type Pokemon's attack, or maybe your water-type Pokemon's water gun, who knows. Again, it is completely random, so be careful if you use it, okay? And I think for the rest of the moves, we will look at them once we get to Skitty's evolution, okay? I just think Assist is so iconic to Skitty that I thought I'd mention it here. Okay, so before we go to its evolution, I had a quick little fun fact about Skitty. Being that Skitty is actually the first Pokemon that we cover that is more likely to be a female than it is to be a male. Usually, Pokemon are just as likely to be male or female, so 50-50 chances, right? But Skitty is actually more likely to be a female than a male. Usually, 3 in every 4 Skitties are female, so around 75% of all Skitties are female. Just a little fun fact. So, before we move on to its first evolution, as always, it is time if you have any questions you might have. What regions you can find Skitties in? Very, very good question. So, I believe that they are mostly found in the Hoenn region, right? But they can also be found in Sinnoh, Unova, and Kalos, for example. But their most common location is definitely Hoenn. That's where they are most abundant, at least in the wild. Are there any more questions? Yes, so it is a very common misconception that Skitty or its evolution are fairy types. Unfortunately, they are not. They do learn a variety of fairy type moves though, and we will get to them in a bit, okay? But yeah, Skitty and its evolution are only normal type. Between you and me, I think they could have been normal fairy, and that would have been fine as well. But it is just a normal type. Okay, no more questions. Alright, let's look at Skitty's evolutions, okay? So, in order to evolve, Skitty has to be exposed to a moonstone. A moonstone. And when Skitty is exposed to a moonstone, do you know what happens? Do you know who it evolves into? This is Delcatty, the prim Pokemon. Now, as you can see, Delcatty grows taller and more sort of slender, with its fur becoming a light cream, in its tail, neck, and head having this sort of purple ruff. This ruff actually acts as a protective collar, shielding Delcatty's throat from bites, for example, during confrontations. However, don't be mistaken, when pressed, Delcatty has sharp claws and surprisingly strong legs that allows it to defend itself quite effectively. Its long tail also helps it balance during sudden bursts of speed, making it a quite agile Pokemon, especially in short sprints. However though, Delcatty is a Pokemon who will rarely get into conflicts. When disturbed, it will generally just go away to another location and do as it pleases at its own pace. No worries in mind, honestly. Fantastic mentality, in my opinion. There's no need to have fights. I'll just walk away. Although it does not battle, it is still a very popular Pokemon for its incredible fur, its fantastic style, and the fact that they really dislike dirty places. So, they are a very clean Pokemon to have. It will not make a mess because it does not like dirty places. What is also really fascinating about Delcatty is its highly adaptable metabolism. Unlike many Pokemon, or even us humans, that we kind of develop these like routines for sleeping, or in Pokemon's case for nesting, Delcatty has no fixed sort of routine, or not even a fixed territory, It sleeps and rests wherever it feels comfortable. It can be anywhere. If it likes your bed, it's staying on your bed, but if it likes the floor or a chair, it will go there. This lifestyle is supported by how efficient Delcattys are at using their energy, as Delcatty is able to go for long periods of time without eating very much, so it can conserve its energy very well when food is scarce. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to look at Delcatty's moves, okay? Okay, very good. So, it's really interesting, and this goes back to the fairy type that I mentioned earlier. Delcatty only learns normal and fairy type moves naturally, with the exception of one dark type move, that being payback. But yeah, so the normal moves it learns include fake out, facade, covet, double edge, kind of classic moves that you'd expect a Pokemon like Skitty to have. And the fairy type moves it learns are Disarming Voice and Play Rough, just amongst others. It does also have access to a lot more moves via TM, however. And because there's a lot, I'm just going to say one move from each type that it can learn. Okay, so here we go. It's gonna be a bit of a list, but here we go. So for water type moves, it can learn Water Pulse. For steel type moves, we got Iron Tail. For psychic type moves, we got Calm Mind. For ice, we got Blizzard. For ground, we got Dig. For grass, we got Solar Beam. For ghost, we got Shadow Ball. For fire, we got Sunny Day. For fighting, we got Rock Smash. And for electric, we got Thunderbolt. And it can also learn more normal and dark type moves via TM. Funnily enough though, it cannot learn any fairy type moves via TM. So it really emphasizes, I guess, that it is not really a fairy type Pokemon. It can only learn just some moves that are fairy type, but none via TM, which is really interesting. So that's 10 different types, apart from very dark and normal, that it learns by leveling up. 10 different types that it can learn moves by a TM, so very, very versatile. As we mentioned earlier, it's a very adaptable Pokemon. But as you can see, it has a variety of powerful moves. So even if it's a Pokemon that it doesn't really like to fight, a Pokemon that likes to stay away from conflict, it can still defend itself very well when it is bothered. Okay, lastly, I think we're going to look at Delcatty's and also Skitty's abilities. Obviously they are the same. So these abilities are Normalize, Cute, Charm, and Wonder Skin. Okay, let's look at Normalize first. So, remember how I said that all these types of moves that Delcatty can use, Thunderbolt, Sunny Day, Water Balls, all these moves that I said Delcatty can use, right? Well, with Normalize, all of these moves now become normal type. So, yes, it can learn Thunderbolt, but it will be a normal type move. Very interesting, I know. It's actually an ability that is unique to Skitty and Delcatty, but I think it's really cool. It is their signature ability because they are the only Pokemon that learn this. But yeah, so for example, Thunderbolt is now a normal type move. Why would this help Delcatty, you may be wondering? Well, if a Pokemon resists electric type attacks, for example, it will not resist Delcatty's Thunderbolt. You think you're safe, but you're not safe. And also these moves that get affected by Normalize will also be stronger than usual. So not only is your Thunderbolt not electric type, but it's also stronger than it would be. So ground type Pokemon, they don't expect it. They don't expect a Thunderbolt to hit them and do even more damage. So yeah, that's their signature ability. But they have two more. The next one being Cute Charm. So what does Cute Charm do? Basically it makes it so that if a Pokemon does contact with Delcatty, that Pokemon has around a 33% chance, so a 1 in 3, of becoming infatuated with love, making it so that the affected Pokemon might not attack Delcatty because it is in love. A very interesting ability, making potential enemies, I guess, fall in love with you. I guess it kind of works on the whole idea that Delcatty does not like to fight, It'll just make them fall in love with you, and then they're not going to fight you because they love you. So, lastly is Delcatty's hidden ability, right? Which is Wonder Skin. What this ability does is it makes it so that moves such as Stun Spore and Sleep Powder and all the status moves, right? They are less likely to affect Delcatty due to its skin. So it's less likely to be paralyzed by Stun Spore, less likely to be poisoned by Poison Powder and all that stuff. And as another sort of fun fact, this is exactly what happened to my finger here? You see this? We were doing some tests on Wonderskin as an ability, and I was standing way too close to Delcatty, and a stun spore came too close to my finger. So, for 1 or 2 days, my finger will be paralyzed until the effect goes away. It is what it is. I'm all good. I just can't really move my finger very much. It's been, paralyzed. Anyway, yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, I think this will be the end of the class for today. As always, if I have to have a takeaway from Skitty in today's lesson, is that not every Pokemon needs to be a strong fighter to be respected and loved. Sometimes the best solution is simply to avoid conflict, like Skitty and Delcatty do. Sometimes being gentle, adaptable, and bringing joy is its own kind of strength. Thank you very much for coming to class, and I'll see you on the next one. Please remember to subscribe so you don't miss any classes, or you might fail your exam. Alright, bye bye.